Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Bishop Lafer. I am a marketing developer analyst here at IDX Broker, and today I'm joined by Bao Kim, who's a marketing developer at IDX Broker as well. He will be manning the questions panel, so if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to throw them in there and we'll answer them as we go, or also at the end, we'll leave time set aside to just take any questions that you might have. This is a part 2 webinar, Measuring Success with Google Tools Part 2. Bao's thrown the link to the first one in the chat panel. So if you haven't watched that, this information will still be useful for you, but it will be more useful if you take the time to watch the first webinar, because at this one, we're just going to go over some how to measure your success using analytics. And the first one, we went over how to set up analytics and AdWords and Search Console and link them all together. So we're just expanding on that in this one. So I guess we'll go ahead and just get started. We're going to talk about analytics today. The first thing that I want to talk about is the referral exclusion list. As an IDX broker customer, all of your IDX pages are on a subdomain. And so in order to get accurate traffic stats in your analytics, you need to add your domain to the referral exclusion list. And so I'll show you how to go ahead and do that. You want to log into your analytics account and then click on the admin panel, which is this little gear cog down here on the bottom left-hand corner. And then under the JS tracking info, under the property in the middle section, click there, and then there's a spot for the referral exclusion list. Click there, and then you'll go to click this red button that add referral exclusion, and then you'll just put yourdomain.com, not with no www or anything in front of it. And that will prevent any traffic from getting counted twice. So if someone comes to your website, does a search for homes, and then goes into an IDX page, if you don't have your domain on the referral exclusion list, then you will get double traffic for those searches. So you want to make sure that you do this so that your numbers are accurate. Once you do that and have accurate numbers, then we can go ahead and move into the next section, which is the digital marketing and measurement model by Avinash Kaushik. Avinash Kaushik was the analytics evangelist for Google for a long period of time. He's got a blog called Occam's Razor, which is located at kaushik.net. It's full of useful information about analytics and digital marketing. One piece specifically that I was introduced to while I was in school is called the digital marketing and measurement model. And it just goes over how to plan an online marketing strategy and then how to measure its effectiveness. It's actually tailored towards real estate agents, so it's extremely useful. I just took some screenshots from the blog post, and I have this link in the slides, and we'll put the link to the slides into the chat at the end. So the first step in digital marketing and measurement model is to identify your business objectives. So as a real estate agent, you probably want to create awareness, get your name out there. You also want to generate leads, have people subscribe to updates for a specific listing, and then probably highlight events. You want to get foot traffic to your open houses. Rory, the link to the first presentation recording is in the chat. I'll copy it for you and throw it into the questions real quick. Okay, so now the link to the first one is in the questions panel. So once you've identified what your objectives are, you'll want to plan the goals for each objective. So if you want to create awareness, a good goal would be to reinforce your offline and online advertising by increasing traffic to your website. For generating leads, you want to capture leads, as in get someone to subscribe to updates for a specific listing or sign up for a open house. And also provide home buyer info and resources. So if you have like downloadable PDFs with information that would be useful for people who are interested in buying houses, tracking how often those things get downloaded would be a goal. And then for highlighting events, this one says engage community via local events. I would consider an open house, like foot traffic to an open house would be event, like a community engagement event. So step 3 is identifying the key performance indicators or the KPIs. So for creating awareness, if your goal is to reinforce offline and online advertising, your KPI would be branded traffic. So you could run like a display campaign or a search campaign where you bid specifically on your key terms. You could run a Facebook campaign with just brand awareness. So your metrics would be things like the number of likes on your Facebook page, or if you're looking in analytics, then it would be like the amount of traffic. One important thing to note here is as you're identifying these KPIs, you want to set a baseline. So once you decide what the KPIs are, then you'll want to go and generate a report for each one of these KPIs so that you know where you started, so that you can measure the difference before and after your digital marketing campaign. So for the generating leads goals, if you want to capture leads, the KPI would be a conversion, someone who signs up for a newsletter or who subscribes for updates on a specific listing. And then the KPI for conversions home tours, I wouldn't necessarily have that one under capturing leads. I would have that under the highlight events, as in like a conversion would be you get someone to actually come to an open house. For providing home buyer info and resources, and you want to know what the number of downloads are, or if you don't have downloadable PDFs, then just the web traffic to those pages where you have those resources available. And then for the highlighting events, the community engagement, that KPI would be the number of people who actually show up to your open houses. And then step 4, you want to quantify that stuff. So that's what I was talking about with the baseline. So for reinforcing online and offline advertising, you want to know what your traffic sources are. So if you are going to do a branded campaign on Facebook and your goal is to drive traffic to your website, then you want to set a baseline for what your referral traffic is, which you would segment your report by source medium so that you can tell where your traffic's coming from. So if you're doing like an AdWords campaign, then you'd be checking Google cost per click or Google CPC is how it would show up in your source medium report. And then you also want to check your direct and organic sources. So direct traffic being someone types a URL directly into the browser and comes straight to your website without clicking on an ad or anything. So that could be a measurement of if you did some offline advertising, like you put a billboard up with your URL on it, and you know the billboard went live June 1st and now it's June 30th. So you want to check what your traffic was for the month of May, and then compare what your traffic is, your direct traffic is in the month of June. And organic can also be an indicator of that as well, because people might, instead of just typing the URL in their browser, they might just Google you. And so if your organic traffic goes up, that's probably an indicator as well. For generating leads, you want to set an event when a user subscribes to updates from a specific listing. You want to be able to track that event in analytics so that you can go into the events report, and then you can segment that events report by source medium. So you can tell if you were running an AdWords campaign, then you can see that you got so many leads from that campaign within a certain period of time, or you also got so many leads from organic or direct or referral traffic. And then for your last one, you just want to maybe at your open house, ask people who you speak to how they saw or learned about this open house. And then you'll be able to tell the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns, both online and offline. Step 5 would be to identify the target. So you set goals for the number, like what your traffic, for creating awareness, what do you want your traffic benchmark to be? That way you know whether or not it was successful. So you've determined what your campaign is going to be, identify the goals, identify the KPIs, and then identify the segments. And now you're setting a goal. So now that you know what your segment is, you want to like set a goal so that you can determine whether or not it's successful in your eyes, right? So if you spend $500 on an AdWords campaign for a month, how much traffic do you expect to get from that $500? Or how many leads do you expect to get from that $500? How many people do you want to come to your open house? That kind of thing. And the next thing that we were going to go over is just like how to report on those within analytics. So the all pages report is a good one for the branded traffic, right? So within analytics, over here on the left side, the all pages report is under behavior, under site content, and then all pages. And then I block this stuff out because we work really hard to get these numbers and it would be useful for our competitors to see. But these reports here on the left side under page, it'll have all the pages on your website, and then you'll have all these metrics. So the number of page views, unique page views, average time on page, entrances being this is the page, the first page that someone landed on when they came to your website, bounce rate being if someone comes to your website and makes no interactions and leaves without clicking into another page or interacting with your website at all, that is considered a bounce. A good bounce rate is around 45%. Anything lower than that, you probably have an issue with your analytics installation. The percentage of exits, this is the percentage of people who came to you. This was the last page they visited on your website. And then if you have e-commerce on your website, the page value would be the value attributed to this page from the number of transactions that you have, but that probably doesn't really apply. You can always change these columns under advanced here. So if you wanted to see the number of users or the number of sessions per page, the number of new users versus returning users, those kinds of things, that you can always edit the columns so that you can determine what's more useful to you. Also, if you click on the page, this link where it's blue, idxbroker.com, you click on the page and it brings you into this page metrics, which is specific to this page. And then here where it says secondary dimension, you click on that drop down. And then if you want to segment by source medium, which is the most useful when determining the effectiveness of your different types of campaigns, then you would put a secondary dimension of source medium, and then you'll get a report that looks like this. You can see what traffic comes from where, right? So direct, none, that would be someone typed their URL into their browser and came directly to your website. Google organic is someone searched and saw your search result in their organic listing and clicks on that, Google CPC would be paid. So that's an AdWords ad. Bing/organic would be an organic ad on Bing. Yahoo, the same. Fitsmallbusiness.com is a referral. Facebook.com would also show up as a referral. And so if you're doing any networking where you have links to your website on other pages, on other people's websites, anytime someone clicks to your website from that other website, it would show up as a referral. You can also just look at the source medium report under acquisition, but this is more specific for specific pages. So if you're doing a campaign, a digital campaign on Facebook or on AdWords, and you're sending someone to your website that's not just your homepage. So if you have like a saved link for a specific neighborhood or price range or something like that, and you're doing ads specific to a neighborhood, then you can come into the all pages report, click into that specific page with your save link, and then you can segment by source medium and see where your traffic's coming from, and you can measure how effective that campaign that you were running is. And then I talked about using an event to track people who are registering for updates on a specific listing. In order to track that kind of thing, you definitely need to use events reporting. I'm not really going to go over how to install events reporting because it does require some know-how. It definitely requires writing some code. You can do it a number of different ways, whether you're using Google Tag Manager or if you're just using Universal Analytics. I did provide this link, developers.google.com/analytics/devguide/collection/analytics.js/events, which has the information that you need in order to set up event tracking. So if you manage your website, then you can follow this guide, or you can send it to your webmaster and have them do it for you. Yes, Ren, I will put that link in. I'll have to get it after or Bao will do it for me. So yeah, that's something that you'll want to give to your webmaster who can do that for you unless you're got a little bit of JavaScript savvy. But once you have events reporting set up, essentially you'll put an event on the form submission. So when a user comes to your website, searches, or comes to a save link and finds a listing that they like and they subscribe for updates, then when that form gets submitted, you want to submit an event. And so this report that I'm showing you is for on IDX Broker, we have a take a tour form. And so up here it says event category. So event category would be take a tour form, and then the event action is a form submission. And so every time that form gets submitted, I have an event, and that report is under behavior, events, and then top events. And then you click into the take a tour form, and then I have the submission action. And then again, I'll just go segment by source medium by clicking on this secondary dimension drop down and then typing the word source, and then go to source medium. And then I can tell where those form submissions came from. So we've got our highest would be people just typed idxbroker.com into their browser and came straight to our website. Our second highest would be AdWords campaigns, and then third highest would be organic Google searches. And then we have a lot of referrals, WordPress.org, because we have a WordPress plugin, Impress, for WordPress, and websites.godaddy.com because you can get a website through GoDaddy with IDX built in. And so this is extremely useful for tracking the KPI of actual leads, right? So this isn't so much the branded traffic like the last reports that we were looking at. This is specific to leads. For open houses, that one is more of a, you have to ask the people who come into your open houses. That requires a little bit more work on your end. You can't really measure that online because it's a real world offline conversion. And then I left like the last 10 or 15 minutes of this open for questions. So if anybody has any specific questions about things that they want to track, don't know how, or anything, just go ahead and throw your question into the questions box and I'll be happy to answer it for you. Casey says there's no questions. It's a little over her head. Have to watch the first one and then watch the recording on this one. Definitely. Yeah, this is we're diving a little deeper in. It's a little bit more in the weeds. The first one is going over how to set up accounts, which you definitely have to have all of those things in place before you can use any of this information. I will throw the link to the slides into the questions box, and that way you'll have the slides as well. And then if you ever have any questions about these kinds of things or how to like set up save links or anything like that within IDX Broker, we always have our support staff readily available to take any of your questions and help you out to the best of our ability. All right, Chad says, is it possible to have the custom subdomain and the regular domain in the same Google accounts? Yes, absolutely. That's what that first thing that I went over in the very beginning, the referral exclusion list. Let me scroll back to the... Yes, totally it is possible, but if you don't want to have skewed metrics, then you'll want to add your domain to the referral exclusion list, right? And so these are the steps to go through it. It's under the admin, and then in the middle column there's this JS tracking info. You'll click on that, and then the referral exclusion list, and then you'll just click on the add referral exclusion, and then you'll put your domain right here without a subdomain. And so that way when users are on your site, Google Analytics will recognize that when you're coming from idx.yoursite.com, to yoursite.com or vice versa, then it won't get counted as two separate sessions. It'll only be one session with one user. And so that's how you prevent getting skewed metrics. But yes, it is totally possible to have the subdomain and the regular domain in the same Google account, and that's what you want. That way you have a full view of all of the traffic to your site, including your subdomains, within one analytics property. Rory asked, would you do referral exclusion for subdomain on primary too? So you should only have one property, and it should be your primary domain. No, you do not put your subdomain into the referral exclusion list. You don't even put anything. So instead of putting like www.yourdomain.com, you just put yourdomain.com. So you don't put like idxbroker.yourdomain.com. You literally just put yourdomain.com, and then analytics will automatically recognize that if you're on idxbroker.yourdomain.com or shop.yourdomain.com or neighborhood.yourdomain.com or any sort of subdomain, it'll all get recognized as one web page, and all of the traffic while a user is on your website will get counted as one session rather as multiple sessions. Because if you don't have your domain on the referral exclusion list, and if someone comes to idxbroker.yourdomain.com and then goes to just yourdomain.com or the other way around, then it would get counted as two sessions with two different users, when in reality it's one session with one user. And the amount of time on page would be skewed, the number of page views, unique page views, bounce rate would be skewed, because if someone was to come to yourdomain.com, search, and then click from yourdomain.com to idxbroker.yourdomain.com, then that would get counted as a bounce on yourdomain.com, so your bounce rate would be skewed. So this is very, very, very important for all IDX broker users, because all IDX pages are on a subdomain. So this is like the first step. After you set up your account, then the first thing you want to do is add your domain to your referral exclusion list. So there's a couple links in here that are extremely useful. This one, digital marketing and measurement model. So there's a lot more information about what I just kind of went through really quickly in here. And then also his Avinash Kaushik's blog is like an encyclopedia of analytics, and there's so much useful information. It's very easy to fall down the rabbit hole. It happens to me all the time, but it's so full of useful information. It's amazing. And then the next one would be the event tracking link that's in here on this page. So that's the link that you need to send to your webmaster in order to set up event tracking, unless you have some JavaScript savvy and you can do it yourself, by all means. It's not the most difficult thing. You're just firing off one function. It's just ga.send, and then in parentheses you pass a couple parameters in, one being the event category, one being the event action, and one being the event label. And then if the event has a value, you can pass a value in as well. But it's literally just one line of JavaScript in order to enable event tracking, and then you'll get all of that information in your top events report under behavior. Rory, do you feel like I answered your question? Awesome, thank you. Jim asked if I am available on the side to set up subdomain tracking and installing these JavaScripts. So I am not personally available, but we do have a lot of developer partners who would love to help you out, and that information can be found at Bao's going to put the link into the chat and also answer your question just in the questions tab. So no, I personally am not available to do that, but we do have a lot of developer partners that we work with that would be more than happy to help you out. All right, well, if that does it for the questions, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all very much for your time. Appreciate you attending. And if you ever need any help, feel free to reach out to support. You can either give us a call or reach us at support@idxbroker.com. Thank you so much. You all have a great day.